I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Elaris Astrophel joins us. Hi.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, too. Please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hello, everybody. My name is Elaris Astrophel. I am a cosmic entity VTuber, as vague as that sounds. Little space girl floating around in space, playing video games. That's about it.
Elaris did the thumbnail for this interview, and perfectly done, by the way. Much better
Thank
than
you.
I would ever be able to put together. So I really do appreciate all that, and I appreciate you coming on.
Of course, thank you for having me.
So when did you get started with the VTuber thing?
Oh gosh, I am coming up on my 2-year anniversary in June.
Mm-hmm.
Prior to that, the planning stage, like that's just when the debut happened. But prior to that, it was spent probably a year and a half, because I do all of my own model art.
Mm-hmm.
I did all the art and the rigging myself,
Wow.
and just learning to do that took about a year and a half.
Well, so you were studying it as you were going.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is that like when I came across Live 2D,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't originally have the intention of becoming a VTuber. Like, someone close to me introduced me to the VTuber space, and I was like, well, how are y'all doing that with images, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I looked into Live 2D, and I was like, I want to learn how to do this. This is neat.
Well, I can
And so
tell.
that's where my energy went. And, they were like, you should just do it, just stream. I was like, okay, sure. So that's where I'm at now.
and you were hooked at that point.
More or less. Yeah. It's just kind of a fun hobby for me.
Yeah, but
It's also kind of a nice way to be social. I've made quite a few good friends.
yeah, and that's one of the great things about the medium in general is the fact that you get a chance to meet and talk with people that otherwise you wouldn't even known existed. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I've got a chance to travel to countries I'm never going to be able to go to just by doing this interview show. I'm certainly talking to people I wouldn't be able to do as a radio guy in the 1980s. It would have cost $1 billion to do something like that.
Good Lord, yeah.
And believe me, the radio budget wasn't that high.
I wouldn't think so.
No, it was not. But it's having that experience is pretty invaluable, and it makes the world awful small, but also sometimes a little more cozy. Is that what you're trying to do? Get a little cozy stream going?
Uh, More or less. Like me personally, like I'm autistic,
Mm-hmm.
and doing face-to-face interaction can be a little bit difficult because like body language and stuff. When I do things online, I don't have to make eye contact with anybody.
Right.
Like, and especially with social media, like when you're typing back and forth, I can think about what I want to say. Like I don't have to improvise anything.
Right.
Um, in the VTubing space, it's also, you're sitting there talking to a screen. You're not really talking to people per se. And even if you kind of are, they're just text on a screen. Like it's so much less intimidating.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of the radio days when, because we would have, and we really didn't know how many people we were talking to, online on the air, and it was around a football game was probably more than if I was just giving the weather forecast on a day, but it could vary all over the place. But we're still talking to them and doing a conversation, even if it's one-sided. Being the way that the format is set up, it is easier for you to communicate with folks this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a lot of you could call them social cues that go into having a face-to-face conversation, and you don't have to worry about any of that in this space. You can, and it's also very useful when you do have an avatar that you're using for VTubing, because it makes you feel like you can just be yourself and all the judgment just goes away. Like the only thing they're seeing is this anime character or this 3D character, whatever you've got on the screen. They're not seeing the real you. So you can be exactly who you want to be on the inside without having like a predisposition for, however people might perceive you the way you actually look.
Yeah. It's a lot tougher to maintain a bias against somebody that isn't necessarily who you're talking to. Does that make sense? Uh, and
Hmm.
I don't think
Well,
it's
it's kind of when you hear somebody's name and you kind of get, images in your head,
yeah,
like oh, this person's name is so and so, and you're like, oh, they might be kind of nerdy or whatever, and
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but you throw out something like Elaris Astrophel, and you're like, what's that about?
Oh, they're from space. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Uh, so, how did you come up with being a space person?
Well, space is my special interest as
Mm,
an autistic person.
yeah.
So you wouldn't believe how much like space pattern, galaxy pattern, everything that I own in my real life space. Um, so of course I started with that, and as far as my current model that I actually finished, it's actually like the fourth or fifth iteration, because I had concepts for going way back, like when I first downloaded Live Duty.
Mm.
So I went through. God, I tried to rig the first one, found out I didn't cut this thing up right. So I abandoned that one and I made a couple different ones. They never made it to the rigging stage.
Mm.
Um, and then eventually I came up with the current one and I was like, you know what? I'm going to work with this. This is nice.
Mm. That was being an artist there. That was I'm not quite finished with that one. Not quite. Uh,
I'll tell you what, man, like when anybody who is an artist will probably relate. Um, you see every single one of the flaws that you have made on a piece. Like, just the average person just looking at it probably wouldn't notice at all,
Yeah.
but it's just sitting there staring you in the face, and you're just like, go away.
It's like somebody would look at a painting or something. Wow, that looks really good, and the artist would be like, the hair's not quite right on that lower right side.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even on my current model, if I move a certain way, there is a part under the armpit that doesn't clip correctly, and nobody's noticed it yet, but I notice it, and I'm just like, man, why?
Just obsessing with it.
Yeah.
And, but that's an artist for you. I mean, I don't think I've talked to or met an artist who isn't a perfectionist in one way or another. It
Mhm.
they I mean they're perfectly fine with other folks' work, but if their own work, there's this I could still tweak it a little bit. It's 99% done.
Well, that's why they say you're your own biggest critic.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And another reason why deadlines are not artists'
Oh
favorite
God,
thing.
see, that's why I could never do commissions. Like people have asked me if I take commissions and stuff like that, and I'm
Mm,
like, I don't because number one, I don't feel like my stuff's good enough to be sold, right?
mm,
Secondly, if I like somebody, I'm just like, I'll just do it. Like you don't have to pay me.
yeah, yeah, and then it still becomes a labor of love rather than a labor of labor. Um,
Yeah.
well,
They say if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I think that's an absolute lie because I'm just like I can be sitting there doing something that I love for hours on end, and eventually I'll be like, I hate this now. I'm gonna go take a break.
well, my wife is extremely talented as an artist. She can do a lot of different things, and she has
It
we
makes a lot
actually
of your thumbnails, right?
she started off with them. I've been doing them lately. I've been kind of figuring out how
Okay.
things go, but we we balance out because my entire lack of artistry is as deep as her giant pile of artistry. I'm really
I
not
feel that, except I'm on the opposite end with my spin-offs. So,
I, just not good at it at all. I in my own stuff, but but she gets to the point where she'll do some paintings or something with needle and thread or sketchings, that type of thing, and um, and she'll have fun with it, and then somebody's like, "Oh, can you make me five of those?" And then it's like, "Okay, we'll do this way."
yeah,
As soon as the orders come in, that's when it becomes a job, and
yeah, yeah.
and while that's sad, it's also true in a lot of different ways. And when it does become a job for you, then it's not nearly as fun.
Hmm.
But it's nice to know anyway that folks believe you're good enough to ask you for commissions.
That is a really big compliment for me. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, as much as I appreciate that, I'm still not going to do it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. No.
No, no, I will not. If I like you enough, I will do it for free when I have time. But, you know,
Was that something you've always done, even as a younger person? Was the artwork?
oh, for sure. Yeah. When I was in middle school, actually, like I had a friend that, um, are you familiar with like text-based role play online?
Yeah, yeah.
So we would do a version of that where we would each draw like a comic page,
Mm.
and then the next person would continue that comic, and we would make a story that way.
Oh, cool. That's that's excellent. I know that I would never be a part of that because and that would be the entire idea would be scrapped very quickly. Why are you doing stick figures? Well, that's
Listen, man, even when I'm doing like whatever type of pieces, it usually starts with a stick figure. So like you're on the right track. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, well, you haven't seen my stick figures. Yeah, this. Here's a little side story. Absolute truth. When it came out that AI bots were taking artwork off of X Twitter and using it
mm,
for their own learning, I actually posted up a really horrible piece of art that I did, trying to use it as a poison pill against the AIs. It's just awful.
just here, learn from this.
Yeah, here you go. Here's a masterpiece for you. And sure enough, they still haven't come up with something good yet. So I'll take credit for that. If
Fair enough.
you want something really bad, you come to me. I'm your man. Uh,
Here, absolutely destroy
that's
this.
right. You got it. Like that one wizard kid in Harry Potter says, "We need that thing blown up." I got you.
I got you.
The so there's a difference between uh making artwork and showing it to other people. Um,
Mhm.
did you ever have a problem with that at first?
Um, so when it comes to things that are in progress,
Mm-hmm.
I hate when people see that because I'm just like, I know the whole deal is trust the process, but I'm just like, while I am doing this, it looks so bad to me because it's not done, right? Um, so that's why like art streams have been like I do them, but they're a little bit difficult for me because I'm like, well, now everybody has to watch my process.
It's too close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever got a backseat artist?
No, I've had backseat gamers, but
Yeah.
no backseat artists yet.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised because I was that would I talk to other folks who do art streams and they haven't had that a lot either. But I can imagine somebody getting in chat and like, I would have done this. Maybe you should put this over
Uh,
here.
well, I've asked for suggestions and that's been helpful, but as far as like a backseat, like, hey, you should do this instead, I've never really had that. Even when I was doing a piece for my spouse, actually, he wanted a character done for Warhammer 40K. He's like, here, draw me a tech priest with these specific things.
Oof.
And I'm sitting there like, all right, I'll do an art stream for that. So I'm sitting there doing it. And I'm staring at it like, why does the hand look stupid? What is wrong here? And then it dawned on me. I was like, oh, I drew it completely backwards. So, I was like, I'm tired.
Two left hands.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I was looking at my own hand for reference and I was looking at
Wow.
the wrong one.
So, speaking of that, how have you struggled with hands, or is it easy for you?
It used to be a real struggle.
Hmm.
But nowadays it's a lot easier now. I don't know why, but for some reason the thing that I struggle with the most is poses
Mm,
because I'm just like, how am I going to make this person stand or do whatever? Because I don't just want to draw somebody like A posing, right?
right.
So that's the thing that I struggle with most. But as far as like hands and stuff like that, I've had enough practice with that it's just kind of it's fine now.
You don't start having nervous ticks when somebody mentions hands in an art piece.
No, not really. It's fine.
I've
Back in the day,
yeah.
back in the day before I got okay at drawing hands, I just became really good at hiding them so that I didn't have to draw them.
Yeah, that's something I heard about something the old masters. if you look at a lot of their paintings, you don't see hands in them.
Yeah, they hide them because they don't want to do them.
That's like no, no, no. They had pods. You don't see that. You don't see the hand in Napoleon because he didn't want to draw it.
Yeah, that's an example of fake it till you make it.
Yeah,
Tuck the hand in, put it behind their back, wherever you got to put it so you don't have to draw it.
exactly, exactly. Hide the flaws before they become flaws.
Exactly. Yeah. If I'm just like, you know what, I can't get this thing to work the way I want it to work, I will just cover it up.
Yeah,
Be like, you know what, I'm just not gonna.
yeah. I mean, that's why risk it at this point. Everything else is good, and you don't really
Mm,
need it there. So why put it in there if you don't have to?
exactly.
So being an artist, an artiste, uh, folks folks who keep going back to the stuff I call artistes because it has that little extra flair to the end of it. Um, when you go in and start playing a game, does the artwork um, play a part in it? Would you rather play a a okay game with great art or a good game with lousy art?
It can go either way for me. Like, I suck at video games, so if as long as I'm doing okay, I'm happy.
it
Um,
doesn't grind your gears if you see something really obnoxious art wise.
no, no, if the controls are stupid, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like the art, not so much because like I grew up when video games were first kind of starting to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like my first video game was Spyro the Dragon, the original one, right?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, so they made a remake, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so good." The only problem was that with the engine that they used, it made the way the controls work different, and I
Oh,
found it to be so much more difficult than the original was.
oh,
Like
oh.
I basically had to relearn it because the mechanics were so different.
It's strange mechanics anyway. For me anyway. My wife is a big fan of the Spyro series, and we got a PlayStation, and we had Spyro up and going, and she got to this one point, and I think it's the second Spyro, or but the there's a bunch of crabs on a ship, and
Okay.
you have to do like some particular like ground pound sort of move in order to turn them upside down, and that's the only way you can damage
Yes. Yeah.
them.
Uh-huh.
And she never got past that. It was over
Oh
and over and
Lord.
over again. She'd spend hours uh, screaming at the television because it wasn't working right. So she hands it to me, and I've never played the game before. And I'll be danged if I'm not within one shot of beating it, and I mess up. But
Oh.
I couldn't get anywhere near it again. I couldn't even get them started. It's it sometimes they make it a little too complicated for those of us whose hands aren't as quick as they were when we were 17.
Yeah, yeah, I've noticed that because when I was in high school, I was an angry kid, right? So I would
Mhm.
come home and play Call of Duty and be like, you know what, I'm mad, I'm gonna kill people. So, I'm sitting there playing Call of Duty, and after so many years, I downloaded it again off of Steam,
Mhm.
and I had to figure out how to get my controller configured for it because it's not configured for a controller on Steam.
Yes.
But there is community mods that people have made, and I found the closest one that comes to how it was on the original Xbox.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm sitting there playing that, and I'm like, why am I sucking? Like, I used to be so good at this.
Time, 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 time. Just slips
I guess,
away.
we get older, our reaction time ain't as good, and I can't remember the controls for stuff. Like my spouse, he'll be playing Helldivers 2 and be like, "Hey, come play this with me." And I'm like, "You know what? I played this game 2 weeks ago, but I'm gonna have to relearn the controls real quick, honey. Give me a second."
Well, I mean, if you're playing that game anyway, you're just shooting everything you see.
That game's just meant to be funny. Like,
Yes.
you
You
kill
shoot
your teammate, oops, sorry.
throw them in there. Just it's that's
Yeah.
that's one of those games you just get as many people as you can and just shoot.
Mhm.
There might be a
We played a little bit of well, we actually completed what was finished of it at the time. We played Halo Infinite,
oh yeah.
and yeah, he was like, "Here, come over here and get this Easter egg." So, you can go up and flip a couple switches and you can get the ship gun, right?
Yeah.
Um, I accidentally killed him with that so many times. I'm
Oops.
so sorry. I didn't mean to kill you.
Yeah, my wife and I used to play against each other in some games, and it was always we were quote unquote on the same side, but
Mhm.
accidentally knock her off a mountain or something. Oh darn, huh?
I mean, hey, if you win a match, you got to celebratory shoot your teammate.
That's right. Exactly. That's the way to do it. That's the American
Yeah.
way. Take them out.
Now, see, the one thing that I am good at when it comes to shooters is sniping, like
Mm.
across the map. I got a couple pixels to aim at. I'm good at that. I excel at that for some reason.
Ooh,
But
that's
it's probably because I don't have to go after anybody.
yeah,
But like in Halo, for example, if you're going head to head with somebody, jumping around, trying to shoot the guy that's 10 feet away from you, I will
yeah.
lose every time.
Oh, I see that, and I'm like, how do you even keep up with this? I would just be just spraying randomly and hoping you ran into it. That
Yeah, exactly. That's what I do.
yeah.
Spray and pray.
Mine might be spray and curse.
Well, I mean, that too.
It's the same except exact opposite. It's I'm not quick enough on the draw to play those games at this point. But
Me too. My reaction time is not what it used to be.
yeah, I got up to about Fallout level, and that was interesting to play after several years because I'd played one and two when they first came
Mhm.
out, and then it was a long time before I got a hold of three in New Vegas, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Of course, everybody was 20 years ahead of me by then, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that because like I love playing older games like for nostalgia and things like that. And then
Hmm.
there's like new stuff that's coming out like Monster Hunter Wilds and
Oh yeah.
um Elden Ring and things like that. And I'm just sitting there looking at it like this is too complicated for me, man. I'm gonna stick to my little platformer.
I don't, it's something for me to watch these folks because virtually everybody on the internet is younger than me. I realize that, which is fine. But to watch Monster Hunter, it's amazing to watch. And I kind of, my thumbs start moving a little bit when I watch it. But I'm like, I couldn't ever remember how to do all these things with, uh,
I have played two of the Monster Hunter games. I played Monster Hunter World, that was really fun.
yeah.
But then I tried Monster Hunter Rise.
Mm,
And it really made me upset because the mechanics and how you play between the two games is so vastly different. And I'm
I
sitting
know.
there trying to play Rise the way I was playing World, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. I think that's one of the things that's gonna keep us having games like the gotcha games that just add pieces to a game rather than putting out a completely new one, because you run the risk by putting out a new version, a new updated version of the game, of people just not liking it. Um, but if you're just adding to something they already like, well, people will buy it probably for about the same price.
That's why they're making so much money off of DLC.
Oh yeah, and we'll see more of that, I think. And people will be playing those gotcha games 50 years from now. The
I
universe.
mean, I'll tell you, I'm guilty of that. I have a gotcha game that I am loyal to, and I will be loyal to until it eventually crashes out. But
Which one? Which one?
that is Bang Dream Girls Band Party. It is a rhythm game. That's one of my autism superpowers. I'm really good at rhythm games.
Oh, yeah. I really, again, that involves Twitch muscles, which I have very little of. Plus
Well, see,
rhythm.
I've been playing that game for like, God, 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
So it's just kind of second nature at this point.
yeah. And they keep coming out with new stuff for it.
Yeah, like they have a new event. They call them events, but it's basically just a new story involving the girls' bands,
Oh,
and they do that like every couple weeks or so.
oh, wow, that's cool. I mean, good on them. I mean, it keeps you involved in the game and never makes it boring.
Mhm. And that was another place where my interest in Live 2D came from because they use Live 2D for that game.
Mm. Mm. And so, would you say you've made a complete transition over to that type of artwork, or would you still rather have the pen to paper type artwork?
Uh, there's a few different variations. Like I used to do pen and paper a whole lot, and every so often I'll go back to it just to see if I can still do it, right? Because I'm so used to having an undo button now.
Yeah,
Um,
that does make a difference.
but I'm kind of slowly getting away from using a tablet that's hooked up to a computer. I've never owned anything fancy like a Wacom Cintiq or whatever with the screen on the tablet.
Ooh.
It was always just like flat tablet, nothing on it. You put the pen on there, you draw on the screen. Um, but I've been moving away from that. I invested in a Samsung Galaxy tablet
Yeah,
not too long ago.
yeah.
And I've been using a free art program, which is essentially the same thing as Photoshop, which is Ibis Paint.
Okay.
And I've been doing a lot of my art on there because it kind of blends the digital part of using like a tablet for the computer and using pen and paper because you can actually see what you're doing right
Mm.
on the surface.
Oh, cool. I wrote that down for the missus because she's looking for something that she can use because she's always doing all sorts of project work for the family and
Mm.
trying to find programs that do that without spending actually money. That's a
If she wants recommendations, Ibis Paint is a really good one. That's just like an app. Like if you have a phone or a tablet with a stylus, that's a really good one.
yeah,
One that I started out with before I started using Photoshop was GIMP. It
GIMP.
stands for something, but it's essentially Photoshop.
Yeah.
It's just free open source.
All right. Well, I'm going to write that down too. And instead of just looking at myself with a cane, I will actually write the word down. But it's for people who are really creative and don't have a whole lot of money to spend, or jump around with different things like my wife does. Um,
Well,
those
yeah, and
types of
that's
things
one
are
of the
good.
things that makes me so upset nowadays is that everything is subscription based.
Yeah, yeah,
Like you can't just buy it one time and just have it. Like you have to pay a monthly fee now for most things.
yeah. It's really bad for a lot of people who aren't. If you're not a part of a corporation and you don't get to use their uh, materials like I'm using Audacity to record. It's similar to other programs that the radio stations were using, um, Audition, and other types of programs that they were using, but they were paying for licenses to use. So I couldn't take it home with me, and it doesn't have all the bells
Yeah.
and whistles, but it's pretty close. It works okay. I'm not going to be
Yeah. Sometimes
singing
you gotta
anything
just
soon.
work with what you've got.
Yeah, I'm not going to be singing anytime soon. I can tell you that. So I don't need the huge frequency response to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you doing all the types of streams you'd like to do right now, or are there different types you'd like to try?
To be honest, I'm still trying to figure out what all kind of types there are.
Mm,
In the environment that I'm in right now, I have far too much background noise to be able to do things like ASMR or
mm.
whatever. So mostly it's just chatting or gaming or art. Um,
No,
Other than that, it's
you have the voice for ASMR, believe
oh, thank you.
me.
I've been told that by several people, and I'm just like, I maybe I'll dig into that at some point.
Yeah, you can tell everybody behind you to be quiet.
It's like, hey, shut up! I'm doing ASMR.
You get right up to the
That's
microphone.
kind of hard to do when we have an African gray parrot who likes to
Oh,
scream a lot. So you may or may not hear him. I think he might be napping right now.
that's
And I'll just be doing little whispers like, "I want y'all to," and then all of a sudden you just hear a gigantic tweet.
that's part of the ambiance.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there in my mind like, Mufasa, shut up.
Of course, they know. They know exactly what
Yeah,
to
they do know. They know exactly what they're doing. He's gotten out of it, but there was a point in time where he would just start banging on the wall
do.
just to make noise. Like, and one day I'm trying to sleep, right?
Yeah.
And he starts banging on the wall like 5 o'clock in the morning.
Mm,
And I just yell across the room, Mufasa, stop it. And he stopped. I mean, to
yeah.
his credit.
Yeah. But he got your attention though. That's
Yeah.
what they're going for. See, we have 9 cats here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And
I love cats though.
yeah, we started off with 2, and then 7 who had been caught, spayed, and released in the neighborhood came to our door.
Oh
Um,
boy. Yeah.
yeah, so we were adopted by them, and they all come in and
The
sleep.
cat distribution system.
Oh yeah, and they all come in and sleep with us. And in fact, one of them sleeps on my wife's shoulder, giving her kisses all night. Which is, he looks at me like, "I've got your woman." I'm like, okay, just make her happy. I've got 6 cats on me. Okay, so um, it gets to be a hassle sometimes, and even here, I've got the room shut off, but there's a little crack under the door, And every once in a while, I'll hear something, and I'll look down, and there'll be a paw stuck out under the door, just flailing away.
That's cute.
Different colored paws, flailing away under the door. Um,
Yeah.
it does make it
We
interesting.
actually have two cats in our household. One of them is mine. She's she just turned 14 in
Oh,
September, and I'm just like my elderly baby.
a grand old
She still
lady.
gets around really good though.
Yeah, yeah. It's um, my sister and my late sister had a cat that was up around 20 when she was very elderly, and my sister was a cat lady. She had lots of cats,
Mhm.
and she'd be she'd be laying there sleeping, which she did most of the day, and two of the younger cats would be playing around and fighting. She'd wake up, stretch, walk over there, and just smack the crap out of them, and turn around and walk back and go back to sleep again. She, she was a calico, of course, which automatically means they're a little nuts. But uh,
Calicos are basically the female version of an orange cat,
oh yeah,
because
yeah,
most orange cats are male.
oh yeah,
But
oh
you get a calico, they basically behave the same,
yeah,
except they're a little
exactly.
bit meaner
Yeah,
usually.
oh yeah, and we have an orange and white cat that we put up on our Twitter page and our Blue Sky page every once in a while, named Sheldon, after the character in the Big Bang Theory. My wife named him, and he is a
I think I
Jethro.
saw that the old tabby.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He is a real Jethro of a cat. He does not have a brain in his head, but he's fun, and he runs around just smashing through things, and doesn't know his own strength. You'll be playing on the computer, and put one hand down, and suddenly he's surrounded it and biting your wrist for no apparent reason. Um, and harassing his sister, like, Sheldon. You're gonna hear that at least twice a night around this place. That
See,
it's
our other cat that we have in the house, she's a 16-pound Russian blue.
ooh.
Uh, Her name's Mini Kitty because she was the runt of the litter, but now she's huge. So she's got several names. She's got Dryer Lint, Fat Cat, Puss, Fat Puss, just we just whatever. She doesn't respond to any of them. Um, I can walk in the room. This cat is so neurotic. Like I can walk into the room and she'll just be sitting there, and I walk in and I go, "Hey, kitty," and she will hiss at me, and
Mm,
I'm like, "I didn't touch you. All I did was say hi to you. What's
mm.
wrong?"
You didn't say it correctly.
I guess.
We have a cat named Minnie. Um,
Hmm.
she is she was very small when she came up to us. Um, all black except for one little patch on her belly. We called her Skinny Minnie because she was skinny when we got her. She's not
Yeah.
skinny anymore.
Is she really fat now?
She's still small, but she's well fed. But she's still
That's good.
Minnie.
I love like for some reason cats get cuter as they get fatter. I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, the last one that came up to us is Minxie, and he's he's just glad to be anywhere. He'll step by you and smile at you all day. But he's gone from
I'm just
being a
happy to be here.
yeah he's gone from a skinny cat to basically a groundhog
Oh, goodness.
who loves to have his belly rubbed. So it's okay.
That's always nice.
It's but again, when you're working around with animals in there, you're going to have things happen no matter what. So the ASMR stuff might not be too easy for you to get started, but I think that once you do find it, it'll be really your voice is very smooth. Um,
Thank you.
yeah.
I there was a point in time where I worked as a phone operator.
Ah, there you go.
I wonder if that has something to do with it. But
Well, that would be your temperament, because it's not always easy being a phone operator. And
you know, it, our phones had a mute button on them,
yeah.
so sometimes we could just mute it and say what we wanted to say, and then unmute it and translate what we needed to say.
Oh, oh yeah, oh yeah. I take a lot in my real life, uh, you know, job to pay the bills. I take a lot of strange calls, and things like I work at a police station, and we get calls like "my power is out."
What do you
Okay.
want me to do about
Do
it?
you have any idea when the power will come back on? I said, whenever the power company fixes it.
Maybe you should start with them.
Yeah, you call the power company. or or we get like, I'm gonna have a fire in my backyard. Did you call the fire department? This is not the fire department. Um, and
See,
it can.
where I used to work for the telephone operating, it was actually in a hospital. I was a hospital operator, and we
Oh,
did like emergency dispatch through that.
oh.
Um, and sometimes people would be calling for just really stupid things,
Hmm. Yeah.
and they'd be like, "I want to talk to my doctor," and I'm like, "Okay, who's your doctor?" And they're like, "I don't know," and I'm like, how are you gonna let somebody work on you that you don't know who they are?"
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know who the doctor is. Am I calling the right hospital? We've had
See,
people.
I work in a pharmacy now, so like I still work semi closely with
Oh,
doctors, but
oh no,
the
no.
patients are still basically the same.
Oh my gosh. How do you? Oh, I bow down to your level of patience because that has to be really, really grating after a while.
It can be. Let's just say I'm on two antidepressants for that.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you can handle those jobs, going online is a cinch.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but with that,
But to be honest, like I wouldn't want to make a career out of VTubing. Like to me, this is just a fun hobby. Like
yeah,
I couldn't handle being like one of the big dogs like Iron Mouse or Zentrey or anybody like that.
yeah,
Just I like my little small community.
yeah. But it's nice to have a community that comes back for you. I mean, for
Mhm.
you, not necessarily what you're doing. Has that sunk in with you that they're doing this because they like to be with you?
To me, it's no different than hanging out with friends.
Mm,
Like it's just, hey, I'm just doing something. You want to hang out? You know,
yeah,
that's pretty much all that's happening.
yeah. It's just it's best if your friends aren't in American Samoa while listening to you. And
I mean, I have made for some reason I make friends with a lot of French VTubers. I don't know why,
mm,
but I don't know. It's weird. But I've had friends in France,
yeah,
the Netherlands, Chile. Uh, let's see.
yes,
I haven't made any friends in like East Asia yet,
yeah,
but
yeah, there's
I think I had one from either it was either Syria or Jordan, one of the two.
oh wow, yeah, I haven't been able to talk to somebody from
Yeah.
there yet. So it's a it's a it makes the world a lot smaller, but also it does bring people together and folks you
Hmm.
wouldn't met before. You get to talk to. Have you been able to do any collaborations online?
Not yet. I promised my first collaboration to my spouse, who is also a VTuber,
Hmm.
and we just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Yeah, yeah.
But after that, I've got several people that want to do a collaboration, and I'd love to do that with them. I'm just waiting on this one to happen.
Oh, well, I'm counting this one as a collaboration, so there.
Oh, that's fair.
I stole it. I stole it. No, I really do appreciate you coming on. It's great to meet you, and I wish nothing but the best for you. If you got some events coming up, let us know so we can promote it for you, and
Sure.
we'll get you back on for an update here sometime soon. But
That sounds good.
we have all the links for Elaris here in the description for the video, so you can check out what Elaris has got going on. And again, thank you so much for coming on. We'll get you on again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.